On question 14, I showed you the way that I think about questions and how I avoid algebra so that I can do things in a more concrete, number-based way. And sometimes it fails. Question 14, it failed. But I think question 15 is a good example where there are two paths to get the answer, and the algebra path is much more prone to mistakes. In both cases, we're going to need to memorize formulas here. We need to know what this even means when we want h of 0 and we've got a g in the thing. So we're going to need to kind of like know what that they're even asking. So the algebra path, let's put this down here, is going to take the g equation and substitute it in for the g of x here, which is the correct thing to do. We can substitute it in, and so we would have h of x equals 1 minus 2x minus 1. Okay, so we take the g and we put it in. The arithmetic, or let's just call it the anti-algebra path, that's my way, anti-algebra, says I'm worried about letters. And so I'm going to try to use numbers as much as I can. So I see this part first, the h of 0, and I know what that means. That means I need to put 0 in for x in the equation. So I just follow that instruction, right? So h of 0 is going to be 1 minus g of 0, right? 0 is in for x. It's in for x, in this case, in another function, but it doesn't matter. I'm following the instructions I normally know. And so instead of pulling g into the h equation, I'm going to take the 0 and put it into g, right? So I'm treating the two functions as separate functions, separate sets of instructions. They're not converging, okay, unless I have actual numbers to let them converge. So now I do this instruction. I say, okay, g of 0. G of 0 is 2 times 0 minus 1. Well, g of 0 is 0 minus 1, which is minus 1. Okay, great, awesome. Now this number can be substituted back up here. And I see I've got a little bit of something that worries me here. So that's h of 0 is equal to 1 minus negative 1. I make a substitution, right? So there's a double negative, which means that h of 0 is equal to 2, 1 plus 1. And that's choice D, and that's the answer. But let's finish the algebra path here, right? H of x is equal to 1 minus 2x minus 1. So let's simplify that, right? That's our algebra move here. So 1 minus 1 is going to be canceled out. So that's minus 2x. We need to then plug in the number. H of 0 is negative 2 times 0. Well, negative 2 times 0 is 0, which is an answer. But it's a trap answer. What did we do wrong? Well, because we thought too much about algebra, we made a classic algebra mistake. We didn't distribute a negative. At this point, right here, when I substituted 2x minus 1 into this equation, I should have put parentheses around it. Because what that's going to mean is that when I do h of x equals 1 minus 2x minus 1, that negative gets distributed. And I end up with 1 minus 2x plus 1. That allows these two ones to combine to get me 2 minus 2x. And then when I do h of 0, it does get me the valid answer, which is 2, which is what I got before. So yeah, if I do the algebra right from the start, great. There'd be no difference between these two paths. But notice that the move that we need to make, the thing that we can maybe mess up, the distributing that negative, that double negative, that move is much easier to make when we have multiple things going on, when we have a variable and a number and an equation, and we're trying to combine them all. Whereas when I did it, I had two things. I had the negative that was there and the negative I was adding in. Two things to keep track of, made it much, much easier. So I recommend trying your best to do steps that are arithmetic instead of maybe the way that you would do it in school where everything is algebra all the time, right? We end up in the same place, but we're just decreasing the chance that we make a careless mistake, which is already pretty high because we're going to be halfway through a 3-hour test and we're going to be tired and miserable, and that's when I make my careless mistakes. So this is my system for avoiding them. try to do arithmetic as much as you can.